Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled people story. I own a thriving business, but due to unexpected circumstances, I found myself trapped overseas for an extended period of time. Travel restrictions and the chaotic state of the world made it a challenging journey back to my home country of Russia. As I finally returned, I discovered that my absence had caused significant turnover in our staff. Many employees had quit out of fear or succumbed to the virus and never returned. During my absence, I had maintained constant communication with the store manager who had taken charge in my absence. His dedication and competence were invaluable in keeping the business afloat. However, he had to hire several new employees to fill the gaps left by those who had departed. While I usually like to personally meet and greet new hires, I entrusted the hiring process entirely to my capable manager. Little did I know that a troublesome situation was brewing in my absence. Excited to be back and eager to assess the state of affairs, I parked my car in the employee section of the parking lot, a spot I had always used. Upon entering the store, the manager and I were abruptly interrupted by piercing screams that echoed through the building. We rushed to the front, alarmed by the disturbance. An employee, her face twisted with anger, was loudly berating the unknown driver who had parked in her designated spot. Astonished by her coarse language and lack of professionalism, I immediately sought to defuse the situation. Approaching her, I calmly stated, "That is my car. I would appreciate it if you refrain from causing a scene in front of our customers. May I have your name and employee badge number, please?" She defiantly retorted, "I'm not giving you any of that crap. If you have a problem, take it up with my boss. And if your car isn't moved in the next 5 minutes, we're going to have a serious problem." Suppressing my growing frustration, I asserted my authority. "There is already a problem here. I suggest you close your register and head back to the office immediately." Temporarily leaving her, I sought the manager to inquire about this employee's behavior. He explained that she had been recently hired and exhibited no signs of such behavior during the training period. It seemed she had misunderstood the company's parking policy and believed she could reserve the same spot every day. Her lack of awareness of who I was or the consequences of her actions only added fuel to the fire. Even without my presence, her behavior would have merited immediate termination under the manager's discretion. We had zero tolerance for employees causing disturbances and tarnishing our reputation. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the air outside, unmistakably coming from our delivery truck. Rushing out, I witnessed the employee behind the wheel, recklessly ramming it into my car. The small vehicle, defenseless against the massive truck's impact, crumpled and flattened under the force. Enraged by the destruction, I vowed to take immediate action against her. Approaching her, I exclaimed, "How dare you destroy my car and then treat me like a criminal? You are sorely mistaken if you believe you can get away with such behavior." Without a hint of remorse, she arrogantly retorted, "Get out of my store right now. Consider yourself banned. If I ever see you again, I will have you arrested." At that moment, she pulled out her phone, dialing the police and falsely accusing me of trespassing. Though I attempted to explain my position, she relentlessly interrupted, preventing me from defending myself. Realizing that waiting for the police to arrive was my only recourse, I calmly endured her accusations. When the officers arrived, they listened attentively to her claims, treating me as the alleged trespasser. Yet, before long, I had the opportunity to present my identification and prove my ownership of the store. Their demeanor swiftly changed, realizing the gravity of the situation. The lead officer addressed me, "Sir, this woman claims you were trespassing, but if you can provide identification to confirm your status as the CEO and owner, we will rectify this misunderstanding." Without hesitation, I assured them, "Of course. Let us go inside my office, where I can provide additional paperwork and permits in my name." As we entered the office, I felt a mix of anger and determination. Turning to face both the police and the employee, I sternly declared, "You are hereby fired for your abhorrent behavior, unauthorized use of company property, and destruction of my car. Furthermore, I will press charges against you for these offenses. In your own words, I banish you from this store, and should you dare to return, you will face immediate arrest." The police, now aware of the extent of her actions, promised to assist me in seeking justice and recovering the damages. Thankfully, I had a reliable company lawyer who assured me of his support in handling the legal proceedings. Finally, I could focus on restoring order and managing my store. Unfortunately, my car was irreparable, leaving me with no choice but to demand full compensation from the employee for its replacement. As for the manager, he continually apologized for allowing someone like her to slip through the hiring process. However, I assured him that such unpredictable individuals could deceive even the most astute observers, emphasizing that it was not his fault. Meeting the remaining new staff went smoothly, with some jokingly expressing disbelief that I actually existed due to my prolonged absence. Reflecting on the incident, I felt grateful that I had been present to protect my employees from this erratic individual. The ban on her entry held strong, and I received no further reports of her attempts to infiltrate my store. Amid the legal proceedings, the employee threatened to sue me for wrongful termination. However, her baseless claim never materialized, likely due to the lack of merit and the futility of pursuing a losing case in court. Justice prevailed, and I could finally dedicate my energy to the growth and prosperity of my business once more. The next one is a pro-revenge story. I have a huge, broken family that's unnecessarily close and totally dysfunctional. My great step-uncle, let's call him John, is a constant presence in my life, along with a cast of other characters who could all have their own stories. John is an a-hole. He's 90, but he's still sharp as a tack, which he uses to push his bizarre views on everyone he meets. Forever. His weapon of choice is the chain email, which he uses to great effect. John has used this chain email to do everything from promoting his healthcare plan he wrote, spoiler, no one is covered, to sharing his crackpot inventions for perpetual energy, to discussing personal family matters, to spreading racist and sexist ideas to everyone in his contact list. And I'm not talking about the 2019, let's debate this kind of racism and sexism. I'm talking about women should be seen and not heard, and black people were better off as slaves kind. Nice guy. After receiving these emails for 3 years, he got my email from my LinkedIn profile. I begged him to remove me from the list since I was getting emails from him daily and I'd rather not block him. He refused, stating that he was opening my mind, I was too sensitive, and that if I didn't like them, I didn't have to read them. Last week, he decided to send me and my brother a rough draft of his book through LinkedIn direct message, asking for comments, even though he doesn't want comments. I found this strange. Why didn't he send it to the email list? Well, I decided to read the book. And it turns out that the reason he didn't send it to his list is because it is the most bizarre, sickening commentary on sexual harassment I have ever read. He wanted me to validate if it was normal before he sent it to his publisher, even though he doesn't have one. My little brother was so upset by it that he told me he never wanted to speak to John again. To spare you the details, his thesis is that women want to be abused. John has been divorced 4 times. The most interesting part was a little biographical section about things he had done that would constitute sexual harassment in 2019. Not just minor things, bad stuff like a secretary who worked for him, he's a doctor, and repeatedly told him no. Eventually quitting her job because he wouldn't stop pursuing her, he told it as a humorous anecdote. He also included another incident about trying to hook up with one of his patients. They always reveal themselves. So I gave him what he asked for. I provided a full, scorched earth review of his manuscript, highlighting key quotes and tearing it apart for being anachronistic garbage. I paid close attention to the biographical details, calling out the harassment for what it truly was. Could I have sent it to him via LinkedIn DM? Sure. Did John extend me that courtesy when he used the chain email list to inform everyone he knew that my dad was out of work, causing great embarrassment? No. So I did what John would have done. I replied all to his chain email list with my full review. Everyone from his neighbor to his kids to his ex-wife to his dentist got to see who the old man really is. While I doubt anyone was surprised, he's super grabby and creepy. Seeing it in his own words surprised a lot of people. The response was pandemonium. All sorts of people started arguing over the harassment, mostly furious with John, which pleasantly surprised me. Since then, my brother and I have been removed from the chain email list. He's 90 and lives alone in the middle of nowhere. He won't face any consequences. But I'm really looking forward to seeing John at Passover now. The next one is a petty revenge story. I work with a large organization that has multiple branches in every state across the country. I am the head of one such branch. My boss, the regional manager, oversees around 15 branches in a regional cluster. During August of this year, I asked my boss for a 5-day leave in September, which he promptly granted. I then informed HR about it, suggesting they temporarily arrange for somebody to run my branch for the week. This was necessary because 1. Due to corporate directives, some branches, including mine, could not operate without a branch head physically present. 2. It wasn't possible for someone from inside the branch to substitute for me due to technicalities. HR assured me that there was plenty of time to arrange for my temporary substitute. So, I didn't think much about it since it was their responsibility to handle leaves. I didn't imagine that formal approval or written documentation would be crucial because nobody had faced a situation like mine before. On the last working day before my leave, I asked HR about who would take care of my branch in my absence. They flatly stated that no one in the region cluster was available to cover for me because many employees were on leave due to festivities that week. Me, you're telling me this now? Regardless, I fail to see how that's my problem when my leave was granted a month ago. HR. Discuss it with the RM, my boss. I called him up, but it turned out HR had already spoken to him about the matter before I did. RM. How could you intend to go on leave during this time when we are already under so much pressure due to the sudden staff shortage? On top of that, our company's audit is due next month. Me. But you already approved my leave a month ago. RM. No, I'm sure I must have said that I would think about it. Me. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have booked my tickets and planned my travel to my hometown to see my parents if you hadn't confirmed the leave. This back and forth went on for a while, and I was exasperated with the argument. In the end, I felt humiliated for having to almost beg for a leave. Me. Fine, I won't go. At that point, I arguably felt my dignity was more important than a few days off work. RM. Huh? Okay. He was speechless at my sudden surrender. So my leave was canceled. I had to cancel my tickets, wasting money, and I was utterly exhausted from this ordeal. A few days later, we received a notification about the annual interstate staff soccer tournament organized by corporate. If selected, I would be playing for my state. The tournament, from selections to the final, would last a month. Soccer happens to be one of my favorite sports. Guess who applied and got selected for the state team? Now here's the funny thing about sports and activities organized by our company's corporate center. The top management takes these events very seriously. If you are a participating employee, nothing on this planet can make you choose to sit at your desk and focus on your job instead of participating. So, although not on leave per se, I was all set to go on a month-long tour across the country, playing soccer without the worry of managing a branch and getting paid in the process. Even without the leave fiasco, this was a fantastic opportunity. For those curious, extravagant events like these are not unheard of in big Fortune 500 companies. My organization is a large conglomerate and the third largest employer in our country. Still, it always surprises me that they can spare 150, 200 employees for a month of fun while some regions suffer from staff shortages. My boss's office was eventually informed about my participation in the event, and they were advised to excuse me from my duties until the tournament was over. The day before leaving, I drove down to the RM's office to formally inform him about my participation in the event and my expected month-long absence. He looked expressionless and weakly asked me, "Why did you really participate?" Me. Well, you see, if I had been on a short leave in my hometown this week, I wouldn't have been able to participate in the tournament or even try out for the selections. It's a shame I couldn't take that leave. The defeated look on his face was priceless. The next one is an entitled parent story. Gotta put this out here. Most absurd EP situation I've personally encountered. My husband and I looked to hire a local husband and wife small business to clean and do maintenance projects on our house before our baby comes in a few weeks. They came by tonight to take a look at the projects and surprise! They brought their 3 elementary-age children. No biggie, I thought. Not ideal. But I like children and like the idea of our home being a welcoming place for them. We'll let it go. We opened the door, and the children scattered. All 3 took off screaming in different directions with their shoes on. One ended up in my bedroom, and 2 on different ends of the living room where they all 3 started pulling my daughter's carefully organized, orderly toys off the shelves at an extremely rapid pace. "Well, they sure made themselves at home," the mom beamed. "They sure love your house." I tried to orient the parents quickly so they would leave ASAP, and the oldest child noticed our loft, which is our playroom library, and is also carefully organized and decorated with love with various handcrafted elements, and they all raced upstairs. We have 4 kids of our own, but managed to mostly keep things orderly. Each toy has a place. We have some small and breakable pieces from my and my husband's childhood, and all the books are shelved alphabetically in categories. All 3 children started shrieking at the sight of the room. I was trying to wrap up the discussion with the mom. Then the stomping started, and the clanging sounded like jumping off furniture. I paused for the mom to say something, but she didn't even bat an eyelash. Then came a crash that could only have been furniture falling over. The mom again didn't so much as comment. My husband ran upstairs, alarmed. The youngest one, maybe 4, then raced down, needing to go potty urgently. 3 of our 4 bathrooms need service, which is why we were hiring these people. So the only bathroom available was our master bath, where we have chicks in an incubator. As I showed the child where to go, she got distracted by the chicks and screamed to the older kids upstairs to come and see, come and see, come and see now. So the older 2 came barreling and yelling, shoes on, through my bedroom and bathroom, and the small one didn't quite make it to the toilet in the excitement. This all happened in the 15 minutes I thought we'd be quickly introducing the adult contractors to the projects and negotiating pay. This was bizarre and horrible, I thought, but we'll just have them do the job tomorrow and not work with them again. But then 2 of the kids started to tantrum when it was time for them to leave, notably without putting away a single toy they had disassembled and strewn about. Mom says, "It's okay, we'll be back so you can play more with them tomorrow." What the duck? She was expecting to bring the children and leave them unsupervised in my home, or maybe she expected me to provide childcare while she performed tasks clearly unsafe for children in closed-off rooms for 7 hours. Of course, we are canceling. I'm almost too shocked to even be upset. I just checked upstairs and found a shelf of books partially toppled. Every toy in the living room is in pieces on the floor. Pee is not in the toilet. It happened so fast, I just can't. What? The next one is an entitled parent story. This happened in the mid-90s, but I just saw a TikTok about asking the new mom if it's okay to hold the new baby, and it reminded me of this. I was 10 days past my due date with our first baby when my water finally broke. We went to the hospital, and 24 hours later, I was still nowhere ready to deliver. My OB talked to us about a C-section, and we agreed. It was around 10 p.m., and it wasn't an emergency, so my husband called his parents and my mom, and they came to the hospital. A couple of hours later, we had a beautiful, healthy baby girl. What they don't tell you about the C-section is that it takes no time to get the baby out and forever to sew you back up. I was shown my baby. My arms were laid out with IVs and such. There was no way for me to hold her. Then she was taken to the nursery, and my husband went with her. What felt like hours but was probably more like 40 minutes, I was taken to the recovery room. My husband was there holding the baby with his parents and my mom. He brought her to me and I held her, and it was perfect. I asked my mom if she would like to hold her first grandchild, and she said laughingly, "Oh, I already did." I was still so tired and dopey that it didn't really register. If this had been the end of it, it would probably be a non-issue. I blame the nurse who offered my new baby to my mom, but for the rest of her life, she passed away 2 years ago, she'd bring it up all the time. She would continually refer to our daughter as her girl, even when she was an adult living on her own. When I would remind her that she was in fact my daughter, but she was indeed her own person, she would always say, "Nope, she's mine, I held her first." It always made me crazy that she not only held her first, but constantly rubbed it in my face. When we had our second and third, C-sections for all 3, I made sure to tell the nurses. They were appalled and assured me that wouldn't happen. My husband and I were alone in recovery, just us and the new baby, for those births. My mom was pissy about it each time, and would then remind me that she held my oldest before I did. The next one is a choosing beggars story. First off, for some context, I have terminal cancer in my spine and hip, so movement and traveling are very difficult for me. I am a bit of a clothesaholic and often wear things once or twice before selling them on eBay. Additionally, I am a size 24, and finding fashionable, fun, and affordable clothing in this size is difficult. While places like ASOS and Amazon offer larger sizes, it's not always cheap. I've been selling on eBay for over 9 years, and this is the worst choosy beggar I have ever come across. I posted 4 dresses, 3 tops, 3 bottoms, 2 pairs of sandals, and 2 handbags, which would normally bring me around 100 to 150 pounds. Let's call the customer Karen. She messages me about one of the dresses and asks me what is the minimum price I will accept. I tell her they are all on auction and she's welcome to bid. She tells me she can't wait to bid because she has an event to go to that weekend. She expresses interest in all of my items and offers me 25 pounds for the lot. One of the dresses alone cost me 75 pounds and has only been worn once, so I simply reply no. She proceeds to harass and beg me to sell her this one dress for 5 pounds. I refuse, and she again offers me 25 pounds for the lot, but with the condition that I deliver it to her, which is about 40 miles away from where I live. I reply no once again. She then tells me that she is diabetic, can't work, has 2 small children, and can't afford to buy clothes in that size. Remembering those difficult times, I decide to be kind and generous. I agree to sell her the one dress for 25 pounds and give her my PayPal info. She sends me 2.50 pounds, and I assume it's a mistake on her part. I remind her that the dress is 25 pounds. She then asks why I can't let her have it for 2.50 pounds, stating that I clearly don't need the money. She also mentions how hard it is to find larger dresses since we are both size 24. She attempts to guilt trip me. Despite this, I insist that the dress is 25 pounds. In response, she calls me a heartless idiot and says I should let her have the dress for 2.50 pounds since I won't get much more for it anyway. However, the bidding on the dress is already at 17.50 pounds. I decide to refund her 2.50 pounds and wish her luck in the future. Later, I receive an email from PayPal demanding a 25 pounds refund for a dress she didn't even purchase. Not only that, she contacted eBay and falsely claimed that I am a scammer. I inform her that I have the entire conversation to prove what actually happened. In response, she tells me she hopes I get cancer and die. I inform her that I already have terminal cancer. She accuses me of lying for sympathy, demands her 2.50 pounds plus interest back, and threatens to take me to small claims court. Furthermore, she claims to know me and where I live, and threatens to send her husband to physically harm me and collect the dress. I apologize for the length of this post, but I was completely speechless and unsure of how to respond to such a situation. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.